Number 18, unfinished ordinance for further consideration, public hearing, and final adoption. Madam Clerk, please read ordinance 2233.
Ordinance amends Section 2-2.13 entitled Addressing the Council of the Township Code by providing for 4-minute time for the public to speak and providing no rebuttal.
Okay. This will be open to the public. If anybody would like to speak to ordinance 2233, they're more than welcome to. You're recognized.
The majority should be embarrassed that it introduced ordinance 2233, which would slash the time that each member of the public has to address the council. Unlike almost every other ordinance, this ordinance has no whereas clauses. Typically, an ordinance has a preamble that explains the reason why the ordinance is needed. This ordinance doesn't give a reason why it's needed because the council majority doesn't want to admit the real reason why it's ramming this ordinance down the public's throat. Well, the public is not fooled. I'll tell the public why the council majority wants to slash the public speaking time. If members of the public were coming up here and praising the mayor for 6 minutes, I guarantee you that you would not be slashing our speaking time. But usually, when members of the public make the time and effort to come to a council meeting, it's because we have a concern or a complaint about wasteful spending, or because there's a quality of life issue or a public safety issue that the mayor and his administration have failed to address. If you could completely stop the public from criticizing the mayor, you would. But state law prevents you from shutting us up completely, so you're doing the next best thing. You're slashing 33% off our time to question you and to criticize the mayor. So let me show you what the public thinks of your attempt to gag us. To make my point 33% more efficiently, I'm going to emphasize my statement with symbolic speech. I'm holding up a copy of Ordinance 2233. This shows what the public thinks of this insulting ordinance. I'm tearing it up and holding up the pieces. 1/3 of it's gone. The U.S. Constitution gives the public the right to petition the government for a redress of grievances. Every member of the council took a solemn oath to uphold the Constitution. I'm holding up a copy of the Constitution to remind you of that oath. I'm holding up this Constitution to emphasize...
This will be served as a prop, as last discussed in the last meeting. So if you continue to use it as a prop, the Constitution, then we will take this as a warning. If you continue, you will forfeit.
I'm sorry, I'm not putting down the U.S. Constitution. This is my time. You're interrupting me. You're breaching decorum at this point.
Mr. Bassel,
let me continue.
All right, as you have continued to use the Constitution as a prop, as I have warned you, your time is forfeit.
I'm using the Constitution as
Sir,
speech.
if you continue, I will have to ask the police to remove you. I'm sorry.
If you're going to continue interfering with the decorum of the meeting, then you should be removed.
Wait, Council President,
I'm trying to continue a statement that I have a
Officer.
lawful and constitutional right to make.
Officer.
Council President, we have not
You
passed
took
the ordinance yet.
an oath to the U.S. Constitution, which
Sir,
includes
you are not
a
recognized.
right of free
You are.
speech.
He is in violation. He can be removed. Thank you. He is in violation. He can be removed. Thank you.
Break your oath to the Constitution. Excuse me, sir.
So we have not passed the ordinance yet.
Point of order.
Yes.
Okay.
Allow Councilman Brusher to address it.
my question was, since we didn't pass the ordinance, it's technically not a law. So how are you enforcing a law that's not a law yet?
As the council president, I am allowed to implement rules, and I have posted those rules outside, and this is the rules that we're following. The ordinance that we're going to pass it is just going to codify those rules in writing for future presidents if they choose to.
But other presidents then could reverse that.
Yes, they can.
So then why would we even have to codify it? Why couldn't your term is another month, right? And then we would have a new council president. Why are we even bothering with the codifying it?
I understand. You don't have to vote for it if you do choose not to. That is fine. Councilman Pato, you're recognized.
No, Council President, my only other thing was the reason we are codifying this ordinance to define what those props are, but this ordinance is for the final hearing. Once it is adopted and somebody comes in, yes, you can go and say that. what is right, what is wrong, but this ordinance is not yet passed. It is not yet effective. But if you chose to use at your discretion, then we don't need any ordinance for that matter. Anyone can come and you say, you get out from here. You're not allowed to speak. It's your discretion at the end of the day. Say none of these laws has any value. So why we are just changing it for the sake of changing it? That's my question there.
I believe it runs a better decorum, and I believe that this is a way to have a better conversation. And I hope the council agrees with me when they vote on it. And if they don't, then you know what? I will take that into consideration and change the rules. Councilman Pointer.
Thank you, Council President. My question was just whether he was asked to sit down first prior to
Yes.
any subsequent thing. So I just wanted to make sure from a procedural aspect that
Yes.
that was followed. Thank you, sir.
All right. Moving on. Anybody else that would like to speak? You can come on up.
Joyce Ship Freeman.
You are recognized.
Thank you. I am highly offended that the Constitution of America is treated in that manner in what we call the town hall. All right?
Point of
these
order.
police
One sec.
officers.
Point of order is called. Yes, Councilman Pointer.
We are speaking on the resolution in regards to the
I'm
minutes.
speaking on the resolution if you let me. Okay?
But this is specifically to ordinance.
But listen, I'm speaking on the resolution. Am I talking about the resolution about someone holding up
Ordinance
the Constitution?
2233. You're not talking about the right ordinance.
Listen. If you want to run a dictatorship, just tell me it's a dictatorship.
This is-
Excuse me. If you want to make all the rules and dictate it the way you want it to, and you have other people supporting that, I have a problem with that. I have a problem with people cutting people's time because, if you're not able to conduct and do things properly, all of us residents who've been here longer than ever, we have to be punished. Our time has to be cut. We're not doing backflips. We're not doing anything other than standing up for our rights. So you can tell me, just like a person yelled at me when I was up here before, I'm not allowed to rebut the person. You're allowed to talk all this crazy stuff why I pay your salary, but I'm not allowed to say anything else. All right? And for somebody to say that the American flag, I think, hey, don't police officers wear the American flag on their clothes? Ain't they uphold the Constitution? I know for sure they do, all right? Because I know about police officers, all right? So to me, it's an embarrassment throughout the whole state that we do not believe in the Constitution and we do not believe in the American flag. And I'm very upset that we took civics out of school, because maybe if we kept
Joyce,
civics in
you
school,
are off the
maybe if we
ordinance.
kept civics, okay, dictator, I'm sitting down.
Thank you. You can come on.
Good evening, Gloria Dutman.
You're recognized.
Thank you. I could understand the 4 minutes. The meetings get long. I could live with that. But I really wish you would reconsider the rebuttal. There always seems to be another point of view, and I could understand why people might feel stifled if they're not given the opportunity. Just wish you would consider it. Thank you.
Thank you, Gloria.
Elizabeth Conway, 20 Netherwood Circle.
You're recognized.
Regarding this ordinance, I find it contrary to what you're trying to do. You're trying to shorten the meetings so that the 6 of us can't talk for 6 minutes. We can only talk for 4 minutes with no rebuttal. But because of this, you've gotten people upset. So normal people that come here, the few that do come here, are now being stifled because you're putting parameters on what they choose to talk about. When I come to speak, I'm a retired teacher. I may not talk in 4 minutes. I might talk in 4 minutes and 30 seconds. But because you're saying reduce it to 4 minutes and then no rebuttal if I have a follow-up question is a true concern. I know we're going to be talking about the other ordinances, but this one is the true concern because I don't understand. There might be underlying reasons why we're doing this, but I don't understand in times past and in years past, and I have been coming for quite a while, we never ran into this problem before. Yes, you might have a person or two that chooses to upset the apple cart, but the majority of the 6 of us that are here on a regular basis, we don't. I come for concerns. I have questions. I want to relate something that's going on in the town that you may not know about. But if it takes me more than 4 minutes, that means I can't speak anymore and I did not get my concern, and I feel paying the taxes that I do, I have a right to finish my statement. So I truly would like you guys, because Margot's not here, I can say all you guys, to think about it. Why are we really doing it? Is there an underlying reason? Or is there a definite reason that you're trying to stifle some, but the others are being punished for it? So before this goes to a vote, and we're here to see who votes for it, and how many of you have been presidents before, did you have these problems? Or is this just something that's very new? Think about it. Thank you. I'll be up for the rest of them.
Thank you.
Oh, rebuttal. I thought we were going to get the time by this meeting.
I will follow up on that, but that's not part of the ordinance, sorry.
Anthony D. Amerant, 25 Wiley.
You're recognized.
Regarding this ordinance is, it is pretty ridiculous that we go through the motions here. And Council President, you're left fighting the mayor's battle here because this is his ordinance. Does anybody know where he stands? Does he have an opinion on this ordinance? Has anybody asked him? Has he made a comment on this? Does he support this ordinance? Because I have a funny feeling this does come from the 3rd floor. As he sits up there, all right, and everybody's going back and forth, and you're taking it on the chin, all right? But this comes from him. There's no way that any reasonable person would think this is a smart decision, Council President. You're a smart guy. I would think you would know this. You look at the pushback here. So why doesn't the mayor come downstairs and defend this position? Because this is 100% coming from him. I'd like to know where he stands on this issue. I'd like to know if he's been asked. While we all fight over this and argue, he's upstairs relaxing as you sit here and have to fight these battles. And it's a shame, too, because you put these officers in a tough spot as well. Because now they're left to throw people out that are holding the Constitution. That's the last thing these guys probably want to do. All right? It's the last thing they want to do. They have more important things, better things to do than that. All right? So I'd like everybody to use a little more common sense. And I like to think of myself as a reasonable human being. But this is the mayor. This has got his hands all over it. He's to blame for this. He's the only one to blame for this. And I hope you realize that, Council President. Is it worth it in the end to fight this battle, fight his battle over this? And that's all I have to say. Thank you.
Thank you, Anthony. No.
Good evening, Mary Ann Hennessy, Carmelo Drive. Thank you. How do I phrase this to you? By what you're doing, you're limiting us, but you're leaving the council completely free to speak for as long as they want and to rebuttal back and forth, back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. Well, we have to sit here and listen to it because we can't comment, because we had already come up here. I find that that's unfair. I told you a couple of months ago that what you were doing is an indication of a dictatorship. It is. It really is. You're taking away my rights that are allowed to me by the Constitution, which you're denying. And there is no reason why you went after the gentleman who raised the Constitution. He simply raised it to show his respect for the Constitution. I normally don't do anything like this, but I lost a young uncle in the war when he was killed off the coast of Normandy. I had an uncle who was wounded in Germany. I don't appreciate you not allowing someone to hold up the flag. I don't appreciate you not allowing anyone to show the Constitution. I ask you to stop and seriously consider just exactly what you look like, not just to this limited number of people who come here, because a lot of people can't make it here. A lot of people are older and won't come out at night. But they see this, they hear this, and it goes on you. You may have gotten your orders from the mayor, but it goes on you. And it goes on you and you and you and you and you and you and you. Each one of you that sits up there and denies the rights to justify what we say by the fact that we have a Constitution. It exists. Right now, it exists. And I feel sorry for the police officers who had to step forward and actually violate their constitutional statement to do what you wanted done. I don't appreciate it. I've been coming to meetings for at least 30 years. And I do remember under June Choi, where his council limited the time to speak to 4 minutes. And that got pulled back. And it went back to 6 minutes, and it went to a 3-minute rebuttal. And I am telling you, first time I've ever had to say this, I am disgusted with what you're doing. I normally do not attack a person sitting up there as a person. If I attack you in your position. So make it clear to you, not you, but your position. I'm attacking it.
Walt Stoschel, 2118 Oak Tree Road.
You're recognized.
I object to this ordinance that reduces the time the public can comment at council meetings from 6 to 4 minutes. The council should reject this ordinance. Since 1986, I've seen thousands of people come up here and speak before the council, with only a handful abusing the opportunity. Many of those people are not trained public speakers and needed the 6 minutes to present their comments and concerns on issues before the council. There are also issues and ordinances that come before the council that take more than 6 minutes to comment on. The council in the future is going to be reviewing and adopting the new zoning ordinance to implement the goals of the master plan. This may have over 100 changes, and it'll be hard enough to comment with just 6 minutes, never mind 4 minutes. Over the years, many council members started out as residents speaking at these meetings, many using their full 6 minutes. The effort by political forces to limit public comment and participation also has a negative effect on our democracy. This ordinance should be rejected. Thank you.
Thank you, Walt. Anybody else?
Good evening, Thomas Leckie, Netherwood Circle.
You're recognized.
You talk about the 4 minutes. A few months back, we talked about this. We brought this ordinance up. You tabled it. Now all of a sudden, it's coming up again. You talk about wasting your time. This is a prime example of it. A lot of the people that have been talking so far before me, similar comments they made a few months ago. Now we're reiterating it. They're reiterating it once again. The 4 minutes is just wrong. The rebuttal is that's terrible. I've been coming to the council meetings only for a few months, as you may know. Once I get up and I talk, my first time, I used all 6 minutes. After that, no, I didn't use it. You should give people the opportunity to use all of their 6 minutes if they so desire, and not stifle them back to the 4 minutes. Also, when the rebuttal period comes, a lot of times what you see, or when your answer or a comment that the council says to a point that I bring up, it's not necessarily correct. I need to go and try to clarify that, start a little dialogue. There's no back and forth. You need to go and vote this down. Maybe you should vote on it, but I want to see all no's and not a single yes on that dais. Thank you.
Thank you. Yeah.
Sue Malone Barber, 85 Pleasant Avenue.
You're recognized.
Thank you. I'm upset. I'm disgusted with the way some residents have been treated when addressing this body. I'm appalled by the council's misguided attempts to militantly control the public because of the perceived sins of a few. I know all the reasons given why these ordinances are up and why they're going to pass, but I think the real reason lies in the disruption caused by some people coming here. And now tonight, with these ordinances up for a vote, we are making the militant approach to controlling public comments in this chamber official. And I would like to know what has been accomplished and what will be accomplished by passing them. I say absolutely nothing, because I believe it is not the handful of disruptive attendees who have gotten us to this point. It is the way the disruptions have been handled. Our council meetings have become dysfunctional and have devolved into a three-ring circus. As a result, the council has wasted tons of valuable time at the expense of the town, and innocent, serious residents with something to say have been scooped up in the madness. And I don't know why you don't see that. Throwing people like Lois Welke and Joyce out of the meeting, and potentially other people like Joel, just because you are hell-bent on winning and the mayor is hell-bent on winning the fight to control the public, is ludicrous, rude, and juvenile. And these ordinances will only make things worse. We would be beyond all of this if you had just given everyone their 6 minutes and moved on. But we're not there, we're here. And I would also like to call out that it's incredibly disrespectful to me that you guys did not try and honor Council Vice President's request to delay this vote so she could have her say. I don't get that. What is the rush? What is the rush? You have the votes, you're going to pass it. Why couldn't she be here? That is sending a really, really bad message to the public, I have to tell you. I would also like to point out that limiting speaking time, and I agree with other residents who said especially eliminating rebuttal time, may seem like no big deal to those of you who are going to vote for this or vote yes on this ordinance. But the perception is that we are being stifled and you have the final word. We can't even correct a misunderstanding about something we've said without being warned. In the end, these ordinances will pass and the administration will continue with their ridiculous camera angles. But also in the end, residents won't forget how they were made to feel and how their voices were cut short and how they were handled. I would like to read this quote by Maya Angelou. People may forget what you said, people may forget what you did, but people will never forget how you made them feel. Flags? Really? A prop?
Yes.
You gonna throw me out?
I will have to warn you. Anybody else?
My name is Moki Kayadi. I am from 2901 Rivendell Way.
You're recognized.
I will try to be controlled in this because this has triggered a lot of my emotions. That we at a stage in the United States of America where somebody wants to control your time to speak, your time to question the policies, your time to question what is being presented before you, your time to question the rules that will affect you and your taxes and your kids in the school and all the other policies and your environment. It is a shame. It is a big shame. I may understand where you're coming from and where the mayor is coming from, because you and me come from third world countries. We do things in third world way. You today stopped a man from speaking, tried to get him kicked out on an ordinance that has not even been passed. Shame on you. Shame on you.
Russ Azzarello, Schuyler Drive, Edison, New Jersey.
You're recognized.
Thank you. I'm against this ordinance as well. Edison's sixth largest municipality in the state. We should be going from 6 minutes to 8 minutes. There's a lot happening here. Many of us lived here 20, 30, 40 years. Edison's changed. There's a lot going on. There's a lot to talk about. There's a lot to be praised for the fire and police. There's a lot to not be praised, traffic, whatever. This is my First Amendment, freedom of speech, to voice my opinion, to talk to you, to converse with you, to air my grievances, my complaints, my concerns, my praise, my suggestions, all of us. I agree with all the speakers tonight. Don't go back. We should be moving forward in time. 2024. This ain't 2002. This is 2024. Go progress. Go from 6 to 8 minutes. Not everybody uses their time. Many people go half the time or less. Many people don't come here or speak very little because they're nervous. Well, we're here to speak for them. There's people watching. There's people listening. Be respectful. Give us the time to talk, to converse, to counteract with you. There should be a rebuttal as well. Cut each other off many times. Rebuttal each other. Why don't we have that same opportunity and that same option? I like to read something. To some, the United States Constitution and the United States flag of America may seem unnecessary and minimal at times, even considered by some to be called props. But to many of us, the U.S. Constitution is here for just that very reason, especially when elected officials feel this way and look to attack and infringe on our First Amendment freedom of speech and freedom of expression while holding the U.S. flag. Not to be thought of lightly, especially as a prop. The U.S. flag is a strong, powerful, patriotic symbol of the United States of America, what our great country stands for. Let us not forget this meaning, nor allow others to forget as well. Keep the 6 minutes. Next time I'll bring up going to 8 minutes, but don't go to 4. Don't digress. Let's progress. Let's go from 6 to 8 or keep it to 6. And not for nothing, but people are watching. They may not be here, but people are watching. You're elected officials. You work for us. We're not here for you. You're there for us. You're there to control the meeting, make it run fluid. but you're not there to look down on us or stifle us. Let me ask you a question. I'm not an attorney. I'm a landscaper. But are you infringing on my First Amendment? You say my First Amendment is only worth 2/3 of the meeting, 2/3 of the chance to speak and voice my opinion? You're going from 6 minutes to 4. That's 1/3 of the time that you're cutting off. That means my First Amendment is only worth 2/3 of the amendment. That's not right. That's right. Listen, vote no. People are watching. You vote for us. Have our best interest in mind. Have the Edison residents' best interest in mind. Have the Edison tax-paying residents' best interest in mind. Be respectful. My mother died at 53, but I have great parents. Do unto others as you want done unto yourself. Be respectful. That was not respectful. That was unprofessional. Joel had a point to make. He was very professional and very respectful. What happened to him was uncalled for. It should never happen again. Thank you. I didn't have the flag, otherwise you would have thrown me out too. I left it there because I wanted to speak. Thank you.
All right. Anybody else?
Yes. Where? My name is Edward Lefty Grimes. I'm with SativaCross.org. We're a 501c3 here in New Jersey fighting for disability rights and for cannabis patients' rights.
You're recognized.
Perhaps if you were born under the American flag, you wouldn't have the disrespect that I've seen for this American flag, or understand how we are born under this flag and we have certain feelings being born under the Constitution. So that maybe you don't feel the same, but maybe you need to, maybe it's time for some self-reflection. I need 4 minutes just to read Sam Joshi's police report. And I need another 2 minutes to mitigate the dirty words in Sam Joshi's police report. Words like anal and penis. I need time because you're going to have rules that say we can't say penis and anal anymore. So I need time to come up with different words to say those words. So I need 6 minutes just to read Sam Joshi's police report. And I'll end that right there, and I'll have more to say later. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you. Anybody else?
Oh, you didn't know? Oh, yeah, Google it. Oh, yeah, Google it.
Rob Kento, 61 Meadow.
You're recognized, Rob.
And I think it was I object to this ordinance entirely, so let's just get that out of the way. But I think it was like 1995 or 1996. I came to a council meeting because I think it was the council president, Republican council president, maybe Coper Watts, was trying to do the exact same thing. And there was a lady at the door handing out these miniature Constitution booklets. I'll put it away. But she was handing them out. So that's how ridiculous this is, okay? And it was a Republican council president, no less, that was trying to take away the time from us. It was 1995, 1996, I forget. Anyway, that's all I gotta say. This is ridiculous. Just stop it.
Thank you. Anybody else?
Good evening, council members. Charlie Cradaville. I'm from New Brunswick. I'm the editor of New Brunswick Today.
You're recognized.
Thank you. I'll start by correcting the record. Last time this ordinance came up, I spoke and I mentioned how instrumental the 6-minute time limit and the rebuttal was to our work to get this council to become the first to oppose the construction of a gas power plant just across the border in Woodbridge. And I don't know that that would have happened without it. I erroneously said that it was in the year 2022, but it was actually 2021, and so you were not yet on the council at that time. But I wanted to correct the record on that and reiterate that point, that a lot of good dialogue comes up at these meetings. People bring up public safety, political corruption, land use issues, traffic safety problems, and individualized resident concerns. And I think it was a great point that Mr. Stoschel made, that Not everybody's a great public speaker, and sometimes it takes time to get your point across, especially when you're dealing with a situation that's individualized to you or to your property or to your business. And yeah, so for all those reasons, I think you should maintain the 6-minute time limit and maintain the rebuttal. I think it was shameful that you abused the police powers here to silence someone and put them in fear of being kicked out of the meeting. I'm also disgusted and embarrassed, and I'm not even an Edison resident. I live in New Brunswick, but I'm embarrassed for you, and I'm embarrassed for the township, because it's not just the time limit and the rebuttal. It's part of a pattern. It's a pattern of abuse of power, incompetence, contempt for the public, and a disdain for transparency. I know folks watching on Edison TV right now can't see me because the administration made a choice to stop showing the public each other, to make it so we're in the dark about what is actually going on at this microphone. And you need only to look at the last council meeting and how it devolved to see what the real source of the problem is. It's not us on this side. It's not at all. You couldn't control the meeting when an anti-cannabis mob showed up here. You couldn't control the meeting when Christo cursed out the deputy chief. You couldn't control the meeting when Chief Bryan lashed out at Councilman Brescher last meeting. And instead of doing your job, you used the police to do your dirty work, kicking people out of these public meetings. And that is unconscionable. You should be ashamed of those actions that you've taken in your position of power. And again, it's part of a pattern. You're trying to cut down on the public time, you're trying to eliminate rebuttals, and that's not even getting started on this BS decorum ordinance. So I'm gonna ask you to please, right now, just table this. Will you make a motion to table this?
Do you have anything else to add?
I'll take that as a no. Can you tell us whose idea this was? Can you tell us whose idea this was, this ordinance? Council President, did you hear my question?
I heard your question.
Okay, and what's the answer?
This was what the council feels was necessary. This was a discussion we had, and this is what we came up with. And this was also transferred to a committee to be discussed, to compare us to other towns to see where we stand. There are towns that do 3 minutes, and there are a lot less than us, but I thought that was too short. And this is the recommendations of the committee based on the discussions they had, which I was not part of, and this is what they came back with to the council to approve.
Well, respectfully, I think everybody who watches these meetings knows that Edison is a special place. And you have a lot of residents that care, a lot of residents that come here, and they actually do make a difference by speaking at this microphone. We look at things like the public advocate ordinance, the Woodbridge gas plant resolution. These are things that come from the community, and you are stifling them by cutting back on people's time. So I think that Edison's a special place and you deserve a special ordinance. You should not be cutting back. If anything, like the gentleman said, you should be expanding public access to the meetings. There's no reason this is not a hybrid meeting. Why can't folks join on Zoom? Why doesn't this ordinance include remote access? Why aren't you saying, we're going to have more people attend the meetings by opening it up on Zoom? Is that something that the committee considered?
I think that was transferred to the committee. They are discussing.
Council President, point of order.
I think, we're going off on topic here. Yeah.
I'm asking why it's not included, sir.
But that's not part of the time limit ordinance.
Right. Why isn't it? Why? If you're changing the rules for the meeting, why not allow Zoom access to the meetings like you did in the past? Wouldn't that be a common sense good idea that folks have brought to you before? Why isn't that being included in this?
Ordinance
This is only cutting back. This is not expanding.
I understand.
And why are you doing that? Why are you cutting back and not expanding?
I will make my comments at the end. Thank you, sir.
Well, Again, I don't live in Edison, but I can tell that the residents here deserve so much better than what they're getting.
Thank you.
Zach Salha, 19 McAvoy Road.
You're recognized.
So actually, I wasn't planning to talk about the 6 minute, but I was extremely pissed off the way you put this gentleman away because he only raises the Constitution. You know what happened?
Just before you continue, there are rules of this decorum. The rules are that we are not allowed to use props. Okay. It doesn't matter what prop it is. You could use this as a prop, and it will be considered a prop. I understand the value. I understand the value and the respect of the flag in the Constitution, but the rule is not to use a prop. That's it.
Yeah, can you allow me just to continue, please?
Yes.
So I was pissed off because you put him down or you put him back because he only hold or raised the Constitution. You know what happened to me exactly? You give me like a flashback from the country I came from the Middle East. Exactly, that's how they use their power. You are abusing the power, and you should feel shame of yourself. You give them this really bad negative impression about this country, not only the township. And I really like considering to move from the township because I didn't flee all this 13,000 miles from Middle East, the corrupt country, like they have dictatorship, the same what you are doing right now. To come here and to have this feeling, you know. I'm sorry, I'm not trying to disrespect you. Just I'm really pissed off for the way you treat people here. I don't know, like I feel like I'm in a banana republic, not in the country. I flee to have safety, to have freedom of speech, to have respect the Constitution. But eventually, that's not true. Eventually, it holds lie, you know, maybe, you know. And thank you for listening. And that's it.
Thank you.
Sylvia Engel.
You're right. Address, please.
82 Winthrop Road, Edison.
You're recognized.
If you think that members of the public are wasting your time coming here and speaking for as much as 6 minutes, I have a simple solution for you. Stop letting the mayor waste millions of dollars of our money. Fix the zoning problems in town that allow distribution centers and truck traffic in residential neighborhoods, and they cut through Winthrop Road all the time. Let our police officers patrol the township and make us safe from criminals, which they are trying to do, instead of providing an entourage for an egotistical mayor to a convention. You insult us if you say that we're not speaking efficiently, enough to suit you. As members of the public who show up at these council meetings, we're doing the best we can. Not me so much, but everybody else. We don't work for you, that you can tell us that we have to make our points 33% more efficiently. It's your job to make your meetings more efficient and effective. Fix our problems, address our issues, stop wasting our money, and then the public will stop bothering you by speaking at your meetings. Mr. President, this ordinance won't force the public to speak more efficiently. It'll just give you more chances to bang your gavel and interrupt your constituents in the middle of a sentence. Maybe that's what you want. But every member of the council who wants to do the right thing for the public will vote against this ordinance this evening.
Motion to close the public portion?
No.
I'm sorry, I didn't see it. Sorry, Board President.
Hello, my name is Joseph Romano. I've been a committee person in District 57 for over 25 years.
Your address, sir. Your address.
55 Avenue C.
You're recognized.
Thank you, sir. I'm also the Vice President of the Edison Board of Education, which I think everyone knows, on the dais. You're allowed to speak 6 minutes at the Edison Board of Education. I preside over that meeting, and I invite everyone the residents of Edison, the residents of New Jersey, the residents of the United States. We do have a right to speak. Let the people speak. If you don't let them speak here, please, I implore you, please come to the Edison Board of Education. I will let you speak. I will let you have the dais. I will let you talk. I will let you express. Our last meeting lasted 4.5 hours. I had 72 people speak. Not one person was restricted. There were people that were walking around and holding cameras. It's not my job to stop the public from speaking. I wish you all a good night. Thank you for your comments. Thank you for your consideration. Chief, good luck.
Thank you. Anybody else on ordinance 2233? All right. All right, I'll take a motion to close the public portion.
Motion to close the public portion?
May I have a second?
Second.
All right, all in favor?
Aye.
All right, so the motion, public portion is closed. I'll take a motion to adopt.
Motion to adopt.
May I have a second?
Second.
All right, I'll take council comments. Councilman Brusher.
I've heard everything the public had to say, and I'm in agreement with the public, probably before the public even knew this was on the agenda. I want to say, though, that I do believe that people that are of my age and our school system must bear some responsibility here. And where I'm going with that was not that many years ago to me, but many years ago to certain people on this dais. It was, I'd say, June Choi's administration that the 6 minutes was reduced to the 4 minutes. Tony Resigliano ran to bring that freedom back. And when she was elected, the council people she ran with, she asked them to bring that back, and it was repealed and it was brought back. What we're looking at here is a repeat of history. So this is June Choi 2.0 that we're looking at. And the problem is that my generation and our school system does not teach the current history as we should. If I would have taught my children, and the other parents that are my age would have taught their children, when they got elected up here today, they wouldn't make the same silly mistake that was made some 15 to 16 years ago. But unfortunately, that's what we're looking at today. So we're looking at a repeat of history. As we know, it will repeat itself. And I'm sure come the end of next year, God willing, it will all be reversed. But I stand with the people. I stand to vote for what the people want. I'm not here to lead. I'm here to take your direction at your will and bring that to the council. So I'll be voting no on this ordinance. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilman Brusher. Anybody else?
Council President.
Councilman Pointer.
The proposed adjustments, in conjunction with one another, I believe create an environment for efficient council meetings. When I reference efficient meetings, I mean council's ability to act on agenda items, hear from residents, providing our full attention, and have a fluid exchange of ideas. To such an extent, it helps to be direct and not repetitive. I believe this will be a result of this adjustment. Items I've reviewed in considering this ordinance include the previous ordinances from 2008 and 2010, review of other municipal guidelines, and analysis of a sampling of meetings regarding speaking lengths, topics of discussions, and council interaction. An example of a similar implementation is the pitch clock in Major League Baseball. The MLB was seeing decreased fan participation in recent years and decided to establish a pitch clock for pitchers to deliver pitches. This resulted in shorter game lengths, but increased fan attendance. Conceptually, this ordinance could have similar result. I should add, if anything does not result how we believe, it can always be amended by another ordinance. Allow me to say, and rightfully so, Residents desire clear and concise statements from council members as well. We on the dais need to lead by example. Some residents have confided in me of being deterred from participating and viewing meetings for numerous reasons. These include extended discussions, repetitive statements, decorum, meeting lengths, and others. I believe efficient meetings will result in increased engagement long-term, and this is one of several adjustments that will help achieve that, which is why I will be supporting this tonight. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilman Pointer. Anybody else?
Councilor President,
Councilman Patel?
there is a reason I'm wearing a black tie tonight. I always said, don't try to fix the problem that is not broken. We have this system working for 30 plus years. Guys, this is not a joke, 30 plus years. Last council meeting, I said the same thing. If we put our acts together, we can run the meeting very efficiently. If you believe in transparency, democracy, allowing people to speak, it's very easy and smoother conversation. If you watch last 2.5 years council meeting, a resident is coming here asking question. Put your heart on your chest and just talk to yourself how many times we were able to answer their questions. It's not about 6 minutes, 4 minutes. It's about, are we doing our job? And that's the problem here. If you don't respond to the residents in the right way, they will come back, ask the same question again and again, and that is why we have prolonged meetings. The problem we created, it's not the problem the other side has created, it's we created. If we are efficient, I'm pretty sure we will be able to see that many people here. I hope no one is trying to stop my mic here, because I heard briefly pause. Again, I will not, and I agree with, I would say from the data standpoint of view, I'm an IT guy, I work in data side. I can throw a lot of data that would show that even 10 minutes is not enough for a resident to speak. Forget about 4 minutes, forget about 3 minutes. The crux to the problem is, if we have 4 or 5 residents coming here using 6 minutes, how much time you are really saving here? Let's talk honestly. 10 minutes, we spend 2 hours talking with each other. Residents are listening to us patiently, politely. So if we put our acts together, if we get the information ahead of a time, if the agendas are published a week before the meeting, I'm pretty sure the council meeting will run very smoothly. I was sitting at the chair, Council President, you were sitting there. I allowed people to speak more than 6 minutes to finish their thought process, because they are taking their family time to come here and to express their opinion or their issue. They're not here to make a fun. They care. They care. And if you are counting their time in 6 minutes, 2 minutes, it's insane. It's insane. And hence, I will not be supporting. Thank you, Council President.
Thank you, Councilman Patel.
Council President.
Councilman Asaf.
Council President, I want to recognize and thank everybody for coming out. It's great to see this room full. Usually we see a few people in the room, but to see everybody come out and take some time out of their night, it's great to see. Everybody was prepared with their statement. And I think with the exception of 2 people that came and spoke, most comments were made under 4 minutes. So like I said before, and I'll say it again, I think that points that are thought through and are prepared, any point could be said under 4 minutes. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilman Shmuel. Anybody else? All right. As for me, I know there is a perspective out there that this is about saving time. But if that was true, I would first ask my council colleagues to speak less and try to make points more concisely. But that is not the case. So this is really not about saving time. To me, time is a poor measure of thought. The longer it doesn't necessarily mean is better. Just because someone spoke for 6 minutes does not mean they contributed more to the conversation. Some of the most powerful ideas are brief, and when too much emphasis is placed on time, we risk confusing quantity over quality. So if this is not about time, what is this about? This decision is about having better conversation. Shorter speaking times allow us more voices to be heard and keep our focus on the key issues. To prevent us from getting lost in the theatrics and the grandstanding, ensuring everyone's input is valued and processed effectively. No one is taking away your right to speak. You will still have the same freedom of speech that you always had. The time limit is to make sure, just as Councilman Pointer stated, that we could have more engaged dialogue and hopefully more people can show and come here and participate more. If, hypothetically, as this is the room, if someone wanted to, if this is how each room looked like and it's fully crowded, if everyone just spoke 2 minutes less, more people can speak, and that is a mathematical fact, and more voices can be heard. So this decision, please, this decision isn't about silencing anyone. It's about fostering respect and efficient environment where we can listen, respond, and work together. And that is the reason I'm hoping that we do pass this. Thank you. Madam Clerk, I'll take roll call.
Councilmember Brescher.
No.
Councilmember Coyle.
Yes.
Councilmember Patil.
No.
Councilmember Pointer.
Yes.
Councilmember Shmuel.
Yes.
Council President Patel.
Yes. All right, Madam Clerk, please read ordinance 2238.
An ordinance amending Chapter 6 Alcohol Beverage Control by amending Section 6-4.1 Hours of Sale and Section 6-4.2 New Year's Day.
This will be open to public, if any public comes.
Joy Ship Freeman, Edison, New Jersey. Does this mean that the alcohol could now be sold in Edison starting at 9 o'clock in the morning?
I believe it's 7 now.
7 o'clock in the morning?
No, it's 9 o'clock. Oh, sorry, 9 o'clock. My bad. 9
It's
o'clock.
9 o'clock.
Yeah.
This town is a killer. It's more important that we drink liquor at 9 o'clock in the morning than for us to have any decorum or any time speaking at a meeting. You can't make this.
Anybody else on ordinance 2238? All right. Madam Clerk, I'll take a motion to close the...
Motion to close the public portion?
May I have a second?
Second.
All right, that's motion by Councilman Coyle, second by Councilman Patil. All in favor?
Aye.
Can I take a motion to adopt?
Motion to adopt?
May I have a second?
Second.
That's a motion to adopt by Councilman Shmuel, second by Councilman Patil. Any council comments?
Council President?
Councilman Pointer?
Just for clarification, the only item that this is really adjusting is Sunday mornings. All the other times remain how they were.
Yes. No talking from the back. Okay, and as for me, I believe this is needed for many of the families that do shop on Costco's, and there's the complaints I heard from many residents that they cannot buy, if they go there early, their groceries done at the same time. So I'm hoping that this will alleviate that problem. Madam Clerk, I'll take roll call.
Councilmember Brescher.
Yes.
Councilmember Coyle.
Yes.
Councilmember Patil.
Yes.
Councilmember Pointer.
Yes.
Councilmember Shmuel.
Yes.
Council President Patel.
Yes. Madam Clerk, please read ordinance 2239.
This ordinance amends 2-2 entitled Township Council or Chapter 2 entitled Administration in order to establish firm rules of decorum for conduct at Township Council meetings.
All right, I will open up this to the public. Ordinance 2239.
Council President? Just a point of privilege. I have to step to the restroom, so I don't want to be disrespectful of the people, but...
Yeah, that's fine.
Sorry, just out of courtesy.
Joel Bassoff, 17 Beach Lane.
You're recognized.
So if the council adopts ordinance 2239 attempting to control decorum, the council will have adopted an unconstitutional ordinance. Your effort to ban costumes, non-medical masks, and props violates the free speech guarantee of the First Amendment to the U.S. Constitution. The public knows why you're trying to ban the masks, costumes,
Can I clarify that statement, legal?
It is incorrect.
Don't take my time for it.
Okay, you can continue.
All right. The public knows why you're trying to ban masks, costumes, and props, even though it's unconstitutional to do that. At previous meetings, members of the public mocked the council by showing up with masks, costumes, and props. You don't like being embarrassed, So you're trying to ban the people who humiliate you. But the best way to avoid humiliation is to stop doing stupid things like trying to clamp down on constitutionally protected symbolic speech. The more you try to suppress constitutional rights to free speech, the more vigorously the public is going to fight back. And if you get sued, you will lose. Now, you adopted an ordinance to cut public speakers back from 6 minutes to 4 minutes. That means to get our ideas across, we're going to have to speak at least 33% more efficiently. They say that a picture is worth 1,000 words. So to illustrate why this ordinance 2239 is wrong, I'm holding up an American flag to represent the constitutional values that
I'm
we
going to
should
have
be
to give you a
loyal to.
warning, and if you continue, I will have to forfeit. You'll have to forfeit your time.
Well, I'm
Sir,
adhering to
you're
my
forfeiting
constitu-
your time.
It's my
And if you
constitution.
continue,
it's my
I will
constitutional
ask you
right
to sit
do
down.
this. If you get sued, you will lose. My suggestion to you is that
Sir.
you get a second opinion from competent counsel because you are wrong. You are interfering with the decorum of this meeting by interfering with the right
Officers,
to speech of a member of the public.
can you
You're
please
the
have
one
him sit down?
interfering
Thank
with
you.
free speech, and it should stop now. I'd like to continue.
Please
So-
have him sit down.
This is an
You can have him sit
arbitrary.
down, or if he doesn't sit down, he can
This
have
is
it.
an arbitrary,
His time has been
capricious, and
forfeited,
decision,
His time is
and
forfeit.
it
He can sit
violates the
down.
law. Your time should be forfeited. Your position should be forfeited. By your actions, you forfeit
Sir.
your right to preside over this meeting.
Please have him removed from the room. Thank you. Officers, you can have him removed. Thank you.
Mr. Bassoff, you continued after your time was forfeited. You continued after the officers told you to sit down. You continued after the council president repeatedly asked you to stop. You've now been asked to be removed from the chambers. So, you have clearly chosen to violate the rules of decorum in this chamber, sir.
Can I get a motion for a recess for 5 minutes?
Motion to recess.
Can I get a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All right, this council meeting has been recessed for 5 minutes. We'll be back at 7:24.
No, but Joe's camera.
This meeting is, I'll take a motion to reconvene from the,
Motion to reconvene.
may I have a second?
Second.
That's the motion by Councilman Patil, second by Councilman Shmuel. All in favor?
Aye.
All right, continuing with ordinance 2239. Who would like to speak on ordinance 2239? Come on up.
Yeah, thanks. Sue Malone, Barber, 85 Pleasant Avenue.
You're recognized.
I just want to reiterate again, I'm repeating myself. Look at all the time being wasted on these things. If, I don't know why, like, who cares if someone's dressed as a bong? Who cares if someone wears a mask? Who cares if someone holds up a flag? I forgot my flag. Who cares if someone holds up a constitution? Give them their 4 minutes and let's move on. What is the big deal? It is juvenile to fight this war. You're losing. It's just making people more agitated, more determined to do something to provoke getting thrown out. I don't understand why that's not getting through. You see all these people here? They're here because of this ordinance. The 4 minutes, the no rebuttal, the stifling of the conversation that you think is going to stimulate the conversation. No one's buying that. Not a single person is buying that. You must think we're all stupid, which is another insult. Let it go. Give people their time. Let them rebut. Let them rebut in whatever they want to wear, and let's move on. It is a waste of taxpayer time. It is a waste of your time to keep going around and around and around, threatening to throw people out, giving them warnings, then throwing them out, then making a big scene. Give everybody their 4 minutes and let's move on. That's all I have to say.
Thank you, Sue. You can come on up.
Hello, my name is Anthony Fiorello. I live at 55 Sturgis Road, and I'm going to be short. I could be long, believe me.
You're recognized.
But I just want to say I don't approve of what you just did with the vote. I think it was also unconstitutional for you to do that to everybody here. And I think we still have a democracy where I think majority rules, and I think if we took a vote, everybody here against you, we would win, because we would vote no against that ordinance because they don't want it, and I don't want it.
I think we're on.
So anyway,
ordinance.
I just want to move on to the other thing. I just want to say one thing, or another thing. This is still America. America the beautiful. We still have a right to speak, and no one should silence us or tell us how long we can talk. And I know one thing. I respect this flag. Many people died for this flag,
Sir,
for this country, and I got to say one more thing.
I will have to give you a
last
warning.
election, you saw what happened.
Sir.
Don't think you can't all be replaced.
Sir.
Because when the next election comes,
Please put it away.
you'll be
Thank
out.
you.
Thank you.
Mary Ann Hennessy, Carmelo Drive.
You're recognized.
Thank you. I must admit, I was not here when the masquerades came in. I saw it on, I think I saw it on the TV or YouTube or something. And I have a simple question. We have a right, at least I know we have a right, of freedom of speech and how you present yourself. I didn't approve of them showing up in their costumes. I think that's foolish. But I think they were driven to it by the attitude of this council. I really do. They figured you were pulling back our rights, and they thought they would come in and show everybody exactly what they thought of you, the entire council. Whether some people voted for it or against it, it was showing the council. And that, I think, is basically a human right. You can't take that away. And I really do think possibly, I'm not a lawyer, I didn't take legal classes, but I can tell you that I have a feeling that you're on the borderline and your lawyer may not be giving you the best advice. I think you may face a lawsuit for violating parts of my constitutional rights, and not just by me, everybody in here, by what you've done and what you've said. And I really am disappointed, but I knew it would go the way it did. The vote always goes that way. Seriously, whatever the mayor wants, the mayor gets. The mayor gets it through the council. And that is, a friend of mine used to say it all the time, that's in my humble opinion. Seriously, it's in my humble opinion. And I have lived in this town for 52 years. And I have yet to see the town being abused by your saying that you consider the American flag and the Constitution a prompt when somebody raises it. Really. It is not a prompt, it is our right. And the Supreme Court gave us the right to burn the flag. Remember that. The flag can be burned. And you're calling it a prop is an insult to what the flag is, what the flag stands for, and what this country is. You may not like what I'm saying, but I'm telling you that it's exactly what it is. It is an insult to me and to everybody here, to everybody who served in the military and were killed or wounded. For you to consider the use of the American flag a prompt is disgusting.
This is J. Golamudi, 45 Karen Place.
You're recognized.
I did not know what the agenda was. I came here to discuss something else upon request from Bonnie. Anyway, I was listening to all the arguments here. You people are great. You are public servants doing a noble job. Your profession is a noble job. But all these people are speaking on one side and only few are opposing it. And as Mr. Asal, right? As Mr. Asal said, not many people are taking more than 4 minutes. So what difference it makes if 2 people out of 10 takes 6 minutes?
Just so you know, this is on ordinance 2239, which is different than the one you're talking to. Okay. So we'll have to stick to the ordinance 2239.
Okay. Now, all I want to say is you are public servants and doing a noble job. But I sense the egoism. Put the egoism outside and listen to the public. Then you will win. Everybody will win. That's all I want to say.
Thank you. Yeah.
Elizabeth Conway, 20 Netherwood Circle.
You're recognized.
On this ordinance, we're talking about decorum. The definition of decorum is behavior that people consider to be correct, polite, and respectable. The people that are usually here, when they get up to speak, whether it's 4 minutes or 6 minutes, usually are polite and respectable. And at that same time, the dais can sit comfortably and listen. If someone should get up and not be polite or respectable, your easiest way out, and I've learned through personal experiences, is to let the people speak and not to aggravate them, because sometimes that's what they're looking for. They're looking for an argument to make their point, whether it's respectable or not. So what you're doing is allowing the public now to get riled up, and people that are ordinarily respectable and intelligent, you're upsetting. You're not showing respect. You're not being polite to them. And respect goes two ways. I've been at many meetings where you're not polite to one another. You're not respectable to one another. You're not respectable to us. But it seems like the people that try to be are getting put down. Now, I had a simple question that I wanted to ask before, and I wasn't given the respect to get an answer about the time clocks. That helps. And your decorum, we wouldn't have to wait for Marlena to say 1 more minute. We could gauge our speaking knowing how much time we have left, and we would remain polite and respectable. So, just as you do not respect us by voting that last one down, let's see if it comes 4-2 again this time. Thank you.
Thank you.
My name is Edward Grimes. I'm with sativacross.org. We're a 501c3 here in New Jersey fighting for cannabis patients' rights, the rights of the disabled.
You're recognized.
I wouldn't be able to do any of the work I do for the disabled without the First Amendment. I've won awards from Josh Gottheimer, a congressional award from Josh Gottheimer for my work with the disabled. I've won a joint resolution from the Senate and the Assembly for my work with the disabled. None of these things could have been done without the First Amendment. So when you start attacking the First Amendment, I'm all in. My ears are up. I'm fighting you, and I'll be here every time fighting you on that, because we couldn't fight for the disabled without the First Amendment. I couldn't protest police stations without wheelchair access, without the First Amendment. I couldn't protest post offices without the First Amendment, because there are post offices without wheelchair access as well. These are things I couldn't do without the First Amendment. So yeah, you're attacking me, and you're attacking all the people that I fight for. The problem I have with this is there's words in Sam Joshi's police report that I probably wouldn't be able to say under this new law. In Mayor Sam Joshi's police report, it says things like she was laying in the fetal position. He came up behind her and penetrated her anus with his penis. Are those things that we could say? I mean, in this police report? Or do I have to say balloon knot or hairy starfish? Or what words do we have to use to say anal now, since we're like back in high school? Is this okay to say anal? In Sam Josh's police report, it says the word anal. Can I say that word? That's my question. Can I say that word? Or is that going to be a problem in the future?
I believe you can say that word as long as you don't use it to attack and intimidate anybody.
Okay, so let me finish then. She agreed to
But
me.
I believe you are going off of a tangent here. You don't have to continue reading that.
Well,
statement.
there's things in here that I can't say. Like she says, she said that you're in the wrong hole. And do you have a condom? That's offensive to me. I'm offended. How come you're not offended by that?
Sir,
I'm offended.
I'm not even sure what to do here.
Are these words we can say?
So,
can we pause this time real quick?
Give me the 7 dirty words that we can't say
anymore,
anymore,
please.
please.
Clearly using the time meant to speak about the ordinance to make his own point about things that he wishes to speak about that are only tangentially related. So, I mean, he could easily ask these questions simply by using the word rather than reading directly verbatim from the report itself. He's making a point here. That's what he's choosing to do.
Sir, if you want to come back during the open public, what portion is that?
What are
the petition and remarks? You are more than welcome to make your statements, but I believe you're trying to use this time to make other statements. So
Well, no, like George Carlin had the 7 dirty words. What are the 7 dirty words we can't say? Is there dirty words that we can't say? I need to know the list so I know what not to say. How do you make a list and not give us the words that we can't say?
Generally, you should be allowed to speak your mind as long as you're not using words to intimidate or anger or essentially incite someone into anger.
This is not exciting or inciting? This incites me. This makes me mad. I don't know how it doesn't make you mad.
Yeah, as long as it's not directed at the vitriol.
But it's directed at the mayor. This is the mayor's police report. It is directed at the mayor. It's his police report. Does the town know that this even happened? Is the town aware that the mayor has a police report with all these words in it?
Point of order is called.
I respect the comment that's being made. We are talking about a allegation, I guess, so.
The words in the words. The dirty words.
I'm sorry, you're looking to me, Councilman?
I
So-
feel that it's
Are we
gone
allowed
off
to-
of, and I'm not trying to take away your time, just gone off from.
We're off on the tangent
On
here.
the ordinance itself. I understand where he's trying to go with the comment, but the statements are not directly related to the ordinance. If it's,
Yeah, and that's a valid point, Councilman.
So
Porter.
I
As
think
I
if
said
you
before,
want to continue, you can ask specific words, we can answer those, but I don't think you can continue reading from the statements.
What are the dirty words we can't say?
Again, I think you're allowed to use any words as long as they're not inciting or directed at someone.
But these are. And these can easily be, you can easily throw me out for saying these words, or anybody, if you feel like it, right? It's very arbitrary. It just doesn't make any sense that you could just throw anybody out for any reason if you don't like the words. So, I don't know. So I guess I'll come back for my third bite at the apple, and we'll talk more about Sam Josh's police report and all the horrible words in there.
All right, anybody else?
Russ Azzarello, Skylar Drive.
You're recognized.
Edison, New Jersey. I'd like some clarity in decorum. Is there rules? Is there going to be a 300-page book, pamphlet to tell you how to act in a meeting, how not to act, what to say, what not to say? This seems to be about control. Doesn't seem to be decorum. Many of us are over 40 years old. This is the first meeting I've seen somebody removed who's the most well-dressed, well-spoken, well-articulate, and professional. And you did just the opposite. As I had asked you before, don't do that to him. Don't treat him or anybody else with disrespect. Treat people like you want to be treated yourself. I'm not just pointing to you, I'm just looking at you.
I understand.
I'm 62 years old. I've never been thrown out of a meeting. I haven't been to many meetings like everybody else here, but I already had parents. I don't need anybody here to tell me how to act. I have 4 sons. I try to be a good role model with them and tell them do the right thing and behave and watch what you say. We watch what we say. You know, we're very respectful, okay? Decorum, is that necessary for the meeting, for the flow of the meeting, or is this necessary to have to control the meeting?
So these are essentially rules that will help guide the meeting. It's not necessarily anything else. We could have no rules, but then it'll be chaos because then we will not know who speaks in what order, who gets to speak. What if one person gets to speak longer than the other, then that person who got shorted on their time would feel that it's not fair, that how come I got to speak for 4 minutes, the other person got to speak for 6 minutes. So essentially these rules are clarifications as to what we should expect a good meeting to hold, that we will take turns, we will recognize the person after they speak their name and address, and once they give their address, then they'll be recognized and they're allowed to use their time to say whatever they want, even including criticizing us.
I have a question for you. And it's a legit question.
Council President, point of order.
How is the
I'm gonna have to warn you. I'm gonna have to warn you that those are props and those are against.
How does this?
Sir, if you continue holding
the meeting.
Okay.
How does this disrupt the flow of the meeting? Holding this, it's my expression of freedom of speech.
Sir,
on First
I
Amendment.
will ask the council.
It's not disrupting. It's not negative.
Do you
it's
want a
not
response, sir?
offensive.
That-
If it's
well,
offensive to somebody, then you're in the wrong country.
okay. Do you want a response to that statement?
Yep. Yes,
Okay,
and
go
I
ahead.
appreciate you
So,
letting me finish my questioning. I'm
Simply
not
holding
finished,
on,
but I like to hear this.
simply holding on to something in your hands, simply holding on to the flag. It can be disruptive, it can be distracting, but the use and deliberate use of things as a prop, it doesn't matter what it is. It could be a bowling pin, it could be a giant clown shoe, it could be an American flag. Regardless of what the actual thing is that is being utilized for your own purposes as a prop, that is what is prohibited. Showing up and waving something around to try to make a statement with whatever it is that you decide to bring in to use for those purposes is what the problem is. You want to stand there and read from the Constitution? Have at it, sir. But the deliberate gamesmanship of bringing in tiny American flags and constitutions to wave around simply because at the last meeting it was expressed that, look, we can't make a distinction or determination between what we find to be an acceptable prop and an unacceptable prop. That dances dangerously over the line into content-based discrimination from the dais. And so all of it is going to, sir? And so all of it is considered a prop, and you're asked not to use it. You're asked very respectfully not to use it. You're warned if we think you're going over the line. You're advised if you continue to go over the line that you'll be forfeiting your time. You're advised once you've forfeited your time that you'll have a seat. And even then, as happened with Mr. Bassoff, he was permitted to come back up on the next ordinance. His time was forfeited for speaking about the first ordinance because he chose to do that, even after having it explained to him last meeting exactly what he came in to choose to do. He very specifically asked those questions, received an answer about what would happen, and then came in and did it anyway. And even then, he was still allowed a second time to come up. And as soon as he got up and he started speaking, it doesn't matter what he was saying, he had very valid points to make. And hopefully he will come back to the next meeting and he'll make those points without deliberately flouting the rules of the chamber. And that's what we want. You say you raise your sons to be respectful, sir, to come in, to do things in a respectful manner. But if you were to come in here and, if your son came in here and flagrantly disrespected you in front of everyone here, just for fun, just to prove a point, I don't know how you would react. That is the difference between rules of decorum and what you people have constantly referred to as some violation of your ability to speak, and that's not what it is.
I would allow my sons the right, which they have, which many of our relatives have served in the armed forces, and I have three folded flags, which means that 3 family members have died, and were given the folded flag. That's a memorial.
I have 2.
Pride, okay, but you don't have to agree, just like I don't have to agree with my sons on what they say, but they have that right to respectfully to voice their opinion and say, they have, just like anybody here, has the right to say what's on their mind, to praise you, to say you're wrong, to disagree, to question you. We have that right. It's the First Amendment.
And no one's been removed for saying anything.
Okay.
Saying whatever it is that you come in here to say, sir, is perfectly acceptable, and I'm glad that
But
you did.
has this been voted on? Is this going to get voted on tonight?
Essentially, the rules of the decorum has been established by the council president. The council president is elected every year to run the meetings and set the rules. So I have set the rules as such. I have asked the council members to accept these rules as an ordinance and to codify them so that the next time we don't have to go through these motions again. It will be an established rule of the decorum that, we will not do this and this is how we will proceed with the meetings. It is simply a way to, I might not be here, so it's not for me to run the meetings, but I'm hoping that the next council president will choose to follow these rules. If they choose not to, I believe they have the right to.
So the secondary part of that is also that it's recommended by the the municipal joint insurance funds to have a codified set of rules so that people have an easy reference, that they know what they're looking at, what they're walking into, and what can be expected of them and how to behave at the meetings themselves. And so that's the second reason why it would be placed into an ordinance rather than simply enforced from the dais.
I agree with
I'm sorry, your time is up. So unfortunately,
we shared my time.
I know.
Let me finish. Can I get my last point?
I'll give him a little. Sorry, we did take a lot about it.
appreciate
Okay.
that.
I'll let you finish your thoughts.
Council President, point of order, just, are we going to go back and forth or questions?
Yeah,
Just-
no,
we're switching it.
Yeah.
I don't mind what you do,
It
but
happens up there all the
we're
time.
answering
Okay.
questions, and then we're doing the back and forth, and then we're
Happens
not.
up there
So it's
all the
whatever you
time, Joe.
choose.
I will let him finish his thoughts, and then
Thank you. I appreciate that.
Just
I
please.
just don't. I agree with the council on being respectful, on a choice of words, on a choice of bringing things in that could be offensive. I just can't comprehend somebody holding the Constitution or the American flag, where they're protected by the First Amendment of freedom of expression. I just don't understand how that disrupts the meeting. I don't understand it. Feel free to let me know.
All right, sir.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Let me finish.
Council, can I make a motion to vote on this?
No, the public portion is still open.
We can't cut off the public portion. That's
We
a
gotta close the
requirement of the
public
ordinance.
portion
We've
and
got to
then-
do the public hearing.
All right, Joyce?
Council President, just point of order. There's a speakerphone on in the room here. I don't know whether someone's playing the meeting, but I
feel like there's an
hear the
echo.
meeting.
Yeah, I feel like an echo is happening.
The meeting's going on.
Okay.
So
Can we turn down the volume
or
there?
close the door.
Or,
There's
yeah,
acoustics in the building, so there's no rug down.
okay. All right, Joyce,
Joyce Ship Freeman.
address?
Joyce Ship Freeman, Edison, New Jersey.
You're recognized.
Yeah, okay. I got a couple of questions. How can you get thrown out for an ordinance that hasn't been passed yet? I'm
Okay. Any other questions?
Okay. And within the decorum of the actual meeting, is the council going to answer questions? Because even giving questions to them in the mail, they don't answer them. So to me, you're asking for chaos. If somebody politely sends you about 10 questions or something and months go by and you don't think it's any of your business, and you don't think it's your business to address them, then when somebody comes up and like Council Member Patil said, if you answer the person sufficiently, and don't say that little crappy stuff about, oh, I answered the best I can. No, you can answer a question properly because you're getting paid almost $20,000 to research the answer before the person comes to the next meeting. And you have an expensive $1 million lawyer. You got all these things going for you. So you should be able to do that. So, and within the decorum of all the 6 people come, and one nuisance here or there, whatever, but not on the whole time. Like someone said, most of us are retired educators. Okay, so how flagrant can we be that we wouldn't want our students to see us using foul language and all that kind of stuff because we don't do it? So to me, you know, I'm trying to wrap my head around this, that it's just a dictatorship and you hide the people from here. And another thing that bothers me is that you don't even zero in on the person that's speaking. Even when council president is speaking, you don't even zero in on them. I don't even, you're just wasting your time because when all of you look like little ants sitting up there and nobody actually hears or sees what you're saying, you know, and I just think that has to do with decorum. If we're serious about decorum, we should treat the audience, well, maybe better than they treat you guys because they're not even showing you now. So this whole thing has turned into, let me see, isn't December next week? We're doing all of this for 1 month for Christmas and Thanksgiving. Matter of fact, happy Thanksgiving, everybody. We're doing all of this decorum, but my major question is, how can you throw somebody out for something that was not voted on yet? It's not a rule, it's not a law, okay? If you don't make a law for speeding, and I'm speeding, how can the police come up to me and give me a ticket? Something's wrong with that. Please answer that question.
Okay. As I stated earlier, as the presiding officer, I am charged to run this meeting with good decorum. And in the last meeting, we established rules and we posted the rules of it outside. So, and I think they're currently out there as well. So they're also posted up there. So these are the rules that I have established to run this meeting well. And this ordinance is essentially codification of those rules and nothing else. And if the council passes it, this will be put on the ordinance and it will be there for continuation until the future council decides to amend it in their own right.
Jay Golamudi, 45 Karen Place.
You're recognized.
I understand where you are coming from, the point of view, not to use the props. So what is the definition of a prop? Is this a? Do you consider this as a prop?
If you use it in a speech as a prop, yes.
Yes,
it will be
I
considered.
can say probably while writing your rules and regulations, I can use this. So is this objectionable?
Yes.
Okay. There you go.
As I said.
No pens, no phones, please, from next time onwards. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
I'm a pencil person.
Rob Kento, 61 Meadow.
You're recognized.
Lifelong Edison resident. Just a question of clarification. So if I would have taped my Constitution to my chest right here, well, yeah, if I would have taped it here, is that considered a prop? Is this vest considered a prop? My wedding ring?
Any other questions do you have?
Well, I just want some clarification on exactly, is it a handheld prop you're not allowed to have? Can't bring something up in your hands? I mean, because for 30 years, I wore a suit to work. And my kids used to say, hey, Daddy's leaving in his costume. I mean, is that a costume?
Yes.
Are you guys all wearing costumes up there? That's all I got.
All right, do you want to answer that question for Ron?
If you are using it in your speech to make a specific point, to highlight a specific idea, if you need to refer to it, to utilize it and hold it up for everyone to see, to draw attention away from what you're speaking about, then yes, it's a prop. If you want to tape the Constitution to your chest and walk up like that, that's fine. You're not using it for anything. You want to walk up with something stenciled to your forehead? Doesn't matter. That's what you've chosen to do. That's not a prop. That may violate other rules, but it's not a prop.
All right, come on up.
Hello, Sarah Fryer of Prospect Ave.
You're recognized.
I have a suggestion, or I guess more of a question, but if someone were to, ahead of time, tell you that they're bringing a prop, because I understand where a prop can be used to make a presentation or enhance a presentation and make it easier for folks to understand. Being a person who learns differently than others, I can tell you that I learn better by doing, for example, so a visual learner might benefit better from a prop. I'm wondering if it is something that someone tells you ahead of time, somebody who's in charge of that sort of thing. Hey, I want to make this point using this object. May I do that? Is that against decorum? If you know that ahead of time this is something they're going to use, is it the fact that it's an unexpected item, or is it just the fact that they have a thing in their hand, because that in itself, I can see how that is objectionable for people who sometimes use objects. For example, I use objects sometimes to regulate my thoughts and emotions, right? So even if I'm not using it to distract from my point, it might be used for me to make my point. So I guess my question is, I kind of forgot what the question was.
So you're asking whether...
So, right, so if a person is using it to regulate their own emotions, or if they're using it for the folks who are visual learners, as long as you know about it ahead of time, where is the issue with that?
So essentially what he was going to say is that we cannot have content-based regulation where we can allow one prop, whatever that may be, and not allow another, because then we are stifling speech, because we're saying, hey, we will allow this, but we won't allow this. So as of the way it stands right now, it essentially bans props. It doesn't matter what that prop is. It could be anything. It could be a water bottle. If I'm saying, hey, this water is great, that's a prop. We're just banning all props in general.
If I can add to that, Council President.
Yes.
There is always the option to make printouts for the council, turn them into the clerk so that the council has something in front of them if you need them to have something in front of them to work from. You can have that in front of you to help you. But when you're at the podium, you're addressing the council. You're not putting on a presentation. You're not putting on a presentation for the audience or for Edison TV. You're addressing the council with your questions and concerns. So if you have something that you needed to bring in for the podium to use and refer to, you're not using it as a prop or a visual aid. So,
as a rebuttal, who's to say who's the audience? If the person speaking is speaking to a group of people, wouldn't you be my audience? That's all I have.
Thank you, Sarah. Anybody else that would like to speak?
Good evening. My name is Susan Del Conte. I live at 960 New Dover Road.
You're recognized.
I actually have 2 points to make. The first is in terms of decorum. At the last council meeting, when we started and everyone turned to the flag, there was one member on the dais who did not mouth or speak the Pledge of Allegiance. Is that something that's out of decorum? Would I be able to expect everyone who is sitting in front of me right now to at least go through the motions? Maybe not necessarily say it out loud, but at least let their lips move to make it look like they're saying the Pledge of Allegiance. I consider that to be out of decorum, and I expect that the leaders who are on here would all practice that kind of decorum if we're being asked to practice a certain amount of decorum. My second question, I guess somewhat related, is I understand that this is the entire, or the town council is here, but I'm really addressing you specifically because you're the person who is speaking. Like I wouldn't ask Mr. Brescher a question, I wouldn't ask Mr. Patel a question, I would ask you because you're the one speaking. And yet, several times, even during today's meeting, when someone was using the precious 6 minutes that they have to ask a question, relate some kind of a concern or issue, there were members of the town council, yourself included, who looked down, looked away, looked at something, were texting on a phone, doing something, therefore not giving that person the eye contact that I consider to be correct decorum. Now, I joined the rest of my retired teachers here. I did teach public speaking and speech as part of my English class, and I'm sorry, you know what? Eye contact is a very important part of decorum, especially when someone has a precious few minutes to get a point across, and for someone to look away, look down, look somewhere else, I consider that to be a terrible, egregious break of decorum. Not necessarily asking a question, I guess I'm making a statement, and you're free to address that afterwards. I did have one more thing. Give me just a second, and I'm glad that I have my 6 minutes to pull it back into my head. I may not be able to remember it, though. But certainly those two things are points that I feel are worth making and worth addressing. I'd also like to make a statement that I noticed that you're wearing a pin on your lapel. What does the pin symbolize? I can't see it from as far back as I am.
Edison Township.
Okay. So it's an Edison Township pin. Do you consider that to be a piece of your clothing today, or is that a prop that shows that you're supporting Edison?
I am not using it in a speech. It's just part of my clothing.
Okay. Thank you.
All right. Anybody else?
Moki Kayadi, 2901 Rivendell Way.
You're recognized.
Yeah, so I was going through the list of what you put out for the decorum. And I would like to highlight section F1, which says fully participate in township council meetings and other public forums while demonstrating respect, kindness, consideration, and courtesy to others. Now, in respect to that, with what has gone on today, the council members have not shown those qualities to us, the people. When you kick out somebody for his opinion or for what he wants to show, where's the respect? Where's the kindness? Where's the consideration? And where's the courtesy? Again, I also want to highlight section H, where you state that each person addressing the township council should do so in an orderly manner. Any person who utters physically threatening, patently offensive or abusive language or engages in any other conduct that disrupts, and goes on, then should be kicked out. When we walk in here, we are checked at the door. We are not carrying guns, we are not carrying knives, we are not carrying anything. We are coming for a conversation. You then, as council members, threaten us with police officers who are carrying guns, and we are armless people. We are only coming to talk, and kick us out when you feel you're offended. Is this fair?
Can you readdress the concept of... anybody else that would like to speak?
Ross Del Conte, 960 Nudover Road, Edison.
You recognized.
Guys, I'm on an executive board for my union, and I understand about Robert's Rules of Order. I respect what you guys are trying to do. You're trying to reel back in your meeting so you can take care of business. But you got a lot of people here that haven't been here before. Joe Coyle mentioned at the last meeting that all these things that you guys are voting on is because the 8 to 10 people that usually come are taking up 6 minutes instead of 4 minutes, and that's the past thing that you voted down. But what I'm referring to now is the way the public perceives you all as council members, and we vote for you, or we vote for somebody else. So when the time comes around for the next election into these positions, I urge the public to look at voting records. This ordinance that we're talking about right now, and any other ordinance in the past that's been voted on against the majority. And you folks are not the majority. We are the majority. And we're the ones that could vote you in or vote you out. So the next time there's an election, I urge every resident of Edison eligible to vote on the voting records from you folks. And I've learned this because I'm on the legislative committee for my local, and I go to Washington, D.C., and I lobby for labor-friendly legislation. So I vote for senators, congressmen, assemblymen, mayors, governors. I support labor-friendly legislation, whether it's a Democrat, a Republican, or an independent. So what you want to do going forward, everyone, is to vote your conscience on the voting record of the people that are representing you. Thank you.
Thank you. Anybody else that would like to speak on ordinance 2239? All right, can I get a motion to close the public portion?
Motion to close the
one
public
sec.
portion.
I have one more.
What's up, buddy? Good evening. Ben from Edison, New Jersey. Do you have the floor, Council President?
You're recognized, Ben.
Thank you. I really feel like this ordinance is very silly. And, you know, if I hold this as a sign of law enforcement, you think it's a prop. And if it is, then you're disgracing the United States of law enforcement. So if that's the case and you want to take 2 minutes out of the public time and use this ordinance, that's fine. We're gonna, like the last guy just said, it's time to take people out of the chairs. This is not what Edison stands for. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, I'll take the motion to close the public portion.
Motion to close the public portion.
May I have a second?
Second.
So that's motion by Councilman Coyle, second by Councilman Pointer. All in favor?
Aye.
All right, I'll take a motion to adopt.
Council President, motion to adopt.
May I have a second?
Second.
All right, so that's a motion by Councilman Pointer, second by Councilman Coyle. I'll take council comments.
Council President.
Councilman Pointer.
Thank you. In conversations I've had with residents, there's a desire for courtesy, professionalism, and respect during council meetings. My focus with these ordinances is increased total engagement. Proper decorum is of utmost importance to facilitate this. For the record, I again state we on the dais must lead by example. The Sunshine Law states, nothing in this act shall be construed to limit the discretion of the public body to permit, prohibit, or regulate the active participation of the public at any meeting. As such, decorum guidelines can be set. We must consider if any rules infringe one's freedom of speech. Under the context of a limited public forum, which this meeting is, I do not find this ordinance infringes on an individual's right to free speech. These guidelines do not eliminate one's ability to make comment, ask questions, or provide additional information to this body. Any regulation on the public's participation needs to be content neutral and further a government's interest. Having orderly meetings by mitigating potential disruptions or distractions, in my view, furthers the government's interest by allowing this body to perform its duties with focus. Additionally, the guidelines proposed are set in a content-neutral manner, eliminating potential subjectivity, favoritism, or bias. Also, I don't believe we are violating one's freedom of expression either, as you can still verbally express your viewpoints. I believe decorum plays a role in the amount of people participating, whether attending or viewing online. I believe most do not wish to have an environment with an increased likelihood of a breach of peace. Better decorum in these chambers should lead to better focus and engagement. I believe these guidelines will help effectuate that, which is why I will be supporting this tonight. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilman Pointer. Any other council members?
Council President.
Councilman Brusher?
This one here, obvious to me, is that it's content-based prejudice. And I'll tell you why. Resident came up and he spoke. He mentioned that his children thought that him wearing a suit was an outfit. That is true. Someone else might want to go to work in gym shorts, right? And that's appropriate. But for the whole costume thing, what is a costume? If we dressed like they did in the 1700s, it would be considered a costume. And that's why I say that there's prejudice there and it's arbitrary. And I find that it's odd that an attorney, would say that there would be an issue with a costume. My heart was very moved, though, to hear people that got up and spoke tonight that I would consider immigrants, and I guess that might be a prejudice on my part because they had an accent when they spoke. I don't know that they actually are immigrants. But they had a love for this country, they had a love for our flag, and they had a love for everything that was here. And that's why they came. And I don't think we're upholding those same values here. I think the country is headed in the wrong direction. I think it's laws like this that get voted on by people up here that actually are destroying our country or destroying our party or both parties. You know, when somebody could even say that the United States flag could be a prop under any condition, I just find that horrendous. My father and grandfather both served. They're veterans. My heart goes out to our veterans. And they did this, they gave us these rights. And here we are now. I know I grew up in the 70s, you guys grew up a little bit after me, but I look like we're heading backward in the wrong direction. You know, we're taking rights away from people, and something that I just can't support. I do agree with the public that come the next election, that's how we change things, right? So, you know, for right now, you will have a no vote from me. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Councilman Becker. Councilman Plata?
I'll start with Thanksgiving message to all the veterans who are not with their families this Thanksgiving, who are on the line and fighting to keep the flag of America flying high. And here in Edison, we are talking about the flag as a prop. What a disgrace. What a disgrace. We all got elected. We took an oath, and I'm going to read a few lines of the oath. I will support the Constitution of the United States and the Constitution of the State of New Jersey, and that I will bear true faith and allegiance to the same and the governments established in the United States and in this state under the authority of the people. What we are doing here is we are trying to choke their voice. If we don't like their attire, just ignore. Focus on what they are bringing the point to this dais. I don't care what costume, what you hold in your hand, in your head, on your leg. What I, as an elected official, should be interested in what your issue or what your problem are and why you are here. Not about the problem. So, Council President, I have a few questions, and to the attorney as well. If as a council member, if I bring this flag and hold it to my chest or put it here, will I be escorted? No. So why there is a dual treatment to the people? I said under the authority of the people. We are elected. We are not appointed. We are elected by the people. And we are literally saying, hey, I can hold, but not you. How good it is. Again, I get it. We have to control the meeting, but again, keep our emotions out. Focus on the issue. Why they are here. Why we are talking about the props, this, that. Again, you may not like the attire of someone, as my council colleague said. Are you going to ask him to go out? I heard that Joel Bessoff, he was escorted. Because of this ordinance, you are going to invite more people in the audience. And in fact, all our law enforcement officers here who are doing a wonderful job, thank you for your service. You are here to escort us, the resident. You should be doing something else, protecting the resident, but now you are here doing some dirty job, escorting the people. And I know that you are not probably agree with your inner mind, but you are forced to do this because someone is ordering to do this. Again, that's a disgrace. And I'm surprised that, our chief, I felt, you are walking with a weapon around, and I don't know what happened, why we needed 4 police officers. I have not seen any time in this council chamber, not even one officer. I get it, you might need one, because we probably might get into a difficult situation. Because of the ordinance like this, we are inviting more trouble, more police officers, And the people who need to be on the ground, they are not there. Now I'm using my hand. Hopefully you are not saying this is my prop, okay? But that's the way to convey the message. So this is something I will never ever support. Not this, but anything that will try to choke the voice of people, that will go against the democracy, and that will not uphold the values of America. Thank you, Council President.
Thank you, Councilman Patel. Any other council member?
Council President,
Councilman Coyle.
as I listen to many people from the audience who speak for everyone, I have to say there are people listening today who may or not agree with all of you. And you can't say that everyone who's listening and watching on TV right now wants to see the council chambers decorum filled with costumes and masks. Now, I'm not saying I agree or disagree with what you have to say, but you can't say you speak for everyone who votes for each one of us on this dais. You can't say that 19 people came here today, 25 people, that you speak for everyone. That's just fair to say. You
Sir,
cannot. But
he is recognized, please. There's no dialogue.
But at the end of the day, this comes down to costumes and props and decorum. Now, we all know we want you to hold the flag and be a part of that Constitution. That's certainly not something we want to take away from you. But if you're going to draw the line with an ordinance, you got to say all props. So I'm looking at this ordinance is that we have to say all props. And it's unfortunate that you have to include all props because of what is unforeseen that may happen that comes to this council and what people intend to bring here to use as a prop that people may or may not like. So you know the answer, and if it helps, I'll ask the council president to put the American flag behind you when you speak and the Constitution behind you on a mount. But this ordinance comes from, a timeline of issues that happened in this council that other people I've spoken to do not want around this township. So I applaud all of you being here and speaking for your rights, for who you speak to and the neighbors you speak to, but you can't say you speak for everyone. It's just impossible to say you speak for all the voters in Edison, all the people watching today right now, and what they believe is decorum. Coming here in some of the costumes we've seen, okay, and yes, some of us believe it's perfectly okay. It's your constitutional right to come here and do that. He wants to wear a mask in his wheelchair. He has that right, understood. But there are people who may not agree with you. So, I understand you have the right to speak. You have the right to believe in what you think is correct or incorrect, but you can't say you speak for everyone who's sitting here today watching this meeting, who want this meeting to conduct in an orderly fashion. And that's my point of view here. And I know the props is a fine line, and I'm not happy with the props being a fine line. But if you're going to include props, you got to include all props. And it is sorry for that. Thank you, Council President.
Thank you, Councilman Coyle.
Council President.
Okay, Councilman Brusher, if you can make it quick.
It's going to be quick. Councilman Coyle made a good point, and I do understand the attorney's, use of the prop. But at the end of the day, the United States of America was founded on certain freedoms that we have, and we don't want to give up those freedoms. And that's why I ran for office, because I'm here to defend our freedoms that we were given, not to take it back and say because somebody doesn't like a turtle outfit or a bongholio, I think it was, a certain type of thing because they were offended, right? And some of the residents were offended, and I understand if you were offended, but I'm not willing to give up our rights that we were given and this country was founded upon. And that's what I believe this body's doing. And I think we've gotten away from good government, right? And this right here is just plain bad government. This should be like YouTube, 3 million views. I don't know, somebody should be making $1 million off of you on this one. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilman Brusher. Councilman Patel.
Thank you, Council President, for giving me an opportunity to speak again. I will be very brief. I heard my council colleague saying people who is coming here is not representing the majority or all the residents. But I will say one thing. I would say all the true patriotic Americans will never, ever would consider American flag as a prop. True American patriot who believes in American Constitution. Thank you, Council President.
Thank you, Councilman Patel. As for me, I believe the Constitution represents the laws that we found this country on, and I want to address this ordinance, specifically 2239, and the changes. Particularly the rule prohibiting the use of prop during speeches. I understand it is a concern, and I want to clarify the intent. These rules are not about limiting free speech, but about maintaining order and ensuring respectful, focused debates. We have all seen the theatrics, how the theatrics and the grandstanding can overshadow the important issues that the residents face. By keeping our discussion centered on substance, we create a space where every voice can be heard and real solution can emerge. Now, some of us have asked about the symbols like the American flag and the Constitution. And yes, legally, they can be considered props when used performatively. If you're going to use it as a performance and make a statement, yes, they can be used as a prop. But their true strength lies in our commitment to the values that they represent, the freedom, the equality, and the justice, not in how they are displayed during a speech. I know not everyone agrees with these rules, and that's your right. And I'm glad we respectfully, heard each other, which was the good thing. But our mission is to govern together, not to create division. My role is to maintain decorum so that this chamber remains a space for respectful dialogue and collaboration. And that's it. Madam Clerk, roll call, please.
Councilmember Brescher.
No.
Councilmember Coyle.
Yes.
Councilmember Patil.
No.
Councilmember Pointer.
Yes.
Councilmember Shmuel.
Yes.
Council President Patel.
Yes. All right, moving on.